Mastering JavaScript while loops with free code challenges. In the previous video, we learned about while loops, and right now is the time to master new skills. The first challenge demonstrates a common way of using loops. Write the program that calculates the sum between all numbers from 1 to 100. The correct answer should be 550. Pause the video to solve this code challenge by your own, but right now let's solve it together. I know that we must use a while loop for this code challenge, so I might start from the keyword while. Then we have a parenthesis, and inside of this parenthesis, we might write any condition that equals to true or false. So the same conditions as in if statements. So let's think when our loop should work. It basically should sum all the numbers until we reach the number of 100. And as our 100 number is including, we actually should finish our while loop if our number is 101. So I might write something like counter is less than 101. While this condition is true, our while loop continued to execute the body. At this point, I will add break keyword immediately to prevent accidentally creating an infinite loop. So I write a word break. Right now, I might save this file, but as you see, we haven't initialized our counter. So let's write let counter equal to 1. We should start our calculation from the number of 1. This is the reason why the initial value of our counter is equal to 1. I should also store the result somewhere. So I might create a new variable total to store our answer. I will write let total equal to 0. Here is the initial value is 0. So in the body, I might write total equals to total plus counter to constantly increase the value of total by counter. In this case, after each iteration, we will add the counter to the total until the counter reaches the number of 101, which means that we should exit the while loop. Right now we change our total variable, but we don't change our counter. So it means that this loop will work infinitely. Let's also change our counter. So right now our counter will be incremented by 1 after every iteration. So let's calculate the results of our body to better understand how it works. At the beginning we have counter that equals to 1 and totals that equals to 0. And then in the body we should add total that equals to 0 plus counter that equals to 1. So our total will be 0 plus 1. And then our counter takes our counter value, that is 1, and then add a constant of 1. And our new counter will be 1 plus 1. For the second iteration, we take these values of total that equals to 1, and we also take the counter that equals to 2, and then we do the same stuff. So we goes by the same formula. We take total that equals to 1 and sum the counter that equals to 2. So our new total equals 1 plus 2. The same with our counter. We take the counter that equals to 2 and constantly add 1. So our new counter is equals 2 plus 1. Then we take these numbers for our third cycle and we do the same stuff again. So we take the total and sum the counter, and this is our new total. And then we take the counter and sum 1, and this is our new counter. And this process goes constantly until the counter reaches the number 101. Because at this point, this statement will equal to false and our while loop will be finished. Let's delete the keyword break and console.log the result of total to see the result in the console. If I save the file, we see that our value is equal to 5015. That is the right answer. There are actually many ways how to solve this challenge. For example, we might start from the counter of 0, and we might start from the line that increments the counter by 1, and then the line that adds the counter to the total. So this is one of the possible solutions, and we see that this line also gives the 550 to the console. And there are also one interesting solution That might be easier for beginners, but it requires more lines. So basically, we use a variable works for our while loop that stores the value of true or false. And then we assign a value of false if our number equals to 100. In this solution, as you see, we also print every single iteration to the console, and we might see how our numbers are changing during the iterations. Any of these solutions are right, write this one that is simpler for you. The second challenge is love letter. You start from the two variables, letter and counter. Then you have two different phases. One phase is a rising phase and the second one is a falling phase. During the rising phase, you constantly increment the counter by 1. So it starts from 0 and go until the number of 5. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And during each iteration, you should write a word darling to the letter. When the counter reaches the number of 5, it should switch the phase to the falling one. Falling phase starts from the number of 5 and then it decrements the number by 1 every single iteration until it reaches the number of -5. So it will go from 5 to 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1 and so on until it reaches the number of -5. And every single iteration at falling phase you should add the word love to the letter. I will give you one clue that you might use several while loops for this challenge. So right now, pause this video if you want to solve this challenge by your own, but right now let's solve it together. I know that I must use the while loop, so I start from the keyword while. Then we have parentheses, and let's think what condition we might write in this parenthesis. So let's assume that our first while loop belongs to the rising phase. It should run the code. It should run the body until our counter reaches the number of 5. So I might write something like counter is less than 5. Actually, you might write something like counter is less or equal to 5, or even counter is less than 6. Here is not specified what you must do when the counter reaches the 5. So we don't know, should we add a new word darling to our letter, or should we immediately change the phase to the falling one, and maybe we need to add a word love. So write this condition that is more logical for you. I think that for me the simplest one will be less than 5. So I use counter in the parentheses, then I will start my body from the keyword break. Now you see that I'm using the counter, so I should initialize the counter. So we see that our counter equals to 0. This we have in our assignment. We also have another variable letter that equals to an empty string. So let's initialize it as well. Now we have two variables and we might think about our body. Until we reach the number of 5, we should add a word darling to our letter. I will write that letter equals to letter plus darling. And we should also increase the counter because we use it in our condition. In order to prevent an infinite loop, we will increment it in our body. Right now I see that I increase our counter and at some point it will reach the number that is higher than 5. I know that we will have an exit condition, and this is the reason why I might delete our keyword break and log the result to the console. If I save the file, right now we see a lot of word darling. I might also add a white space after our darling word, and right now if I save the file, we will see 5 times the word darling separated by space. Our rising phase works correctly. Let's start from our falling phase. So I will start from another while loop. Again, we have the parenthesis. Let's think about the condition that we should write there. So our falling phase goes until our counter reaches the number of -5. So I might write that counter is more than -5. Then I will start the body from the keyword break. And now let's think what we should add in our body. Instead of the word darling, we should write a word love. So let's write the same line as we have right here, but instead of the darling, we'll use the word love. And we also should decrement our counter by 1. Right now, I will delete a keyword break and I will log the result to the console. If I save the file, we see two messages. Our first letter is after the first while loop. Here we have 5-time word darling. And our second letter is our final letter, where we have words darling and words love. Our last challenge for today is a printing machine. We need a message with 5 letters. So ask a user to write a message. So you have a while loop, and while our message length is less than 6, you should constantly ask a user for writing a letter. For this purpose, use a confirm function. If you don't know how confirm function works, I have a video with a JavaScript game project where I explained how it works. As we know, in the confirm function, the user has 2 choices. He might press OK, and in this case, we will add a letter to the message. Or he can press a cancel. If the user presses cancel, switch the letter from A to B or from B to A. So the user has only 2 options. He might write a letter that is chosen right now, or he might switch the letter. So pause this video to solve this challenge by your own, but I will solve this challenge in the next video. I also said in the previous video that we will change our buckshot roulette game project and we will start a new game project. It will be a little bit later. Right now I think that you should master while loops because this is a very important topic for our future videos. In the next video, we'll continue with mastering while loops.